We so love women with power.
Oh,
Hi, Joe. You're in the big chair all week, huh?
I am in the big chair all week, and I haven't screwed up too much
Well,
yet.
that's okay. You got Chris and Travis there to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
we're good at covering.
So, Charlie, you wrote, it dropped this morning, at least I saw it this morning, about the Georgia law that's most likely going to pass with regards to the legislature controlling how prosecutors work. I mean, expand.
Well, no, I mean it's clearly directed at Fani Willis
Yeah.
and her accelerating probe into election interference down there. Basically, the all Republican legislature is going to empower the all Republican executive to create a board that will have very close to unlimited power over local DAs. Now, I don't know that that's entirely a bad thing in theory.
Right.
There are too many DAs out there who run amok.
Right.
But this is not the state, and this is not the time for one of these in Georgia. I mean, this is just a blatant attempt to scare Fani Willis, which I wouldn't try to do myself because I think she'd eat me alive. Yeah, I mean it's another front in the white shoe half of the insurrection.
Absolutely.
I forget what Glenn Kirshner calls it,
Yeah,
but there's the polite half of the guys in suits, and there's the guys in duck boots.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, isn't the lieutenant governor a target of Fani Willis's investigation on top of it all?
Well, the lieutenant governor was one of the fake electors.
Oh, there you go. So yeah.
As was one of the state legislators who's pushing this.
So yeah, so this is obviously, I mean, they're not saying that, but because they're saying there's been problems with other prosecutors, and they named one in particular, but he's currently serving time. So obviously there are mechanisms in Georgia to fix problematic prosecutors.
Yeah, well, and this is also, the first shot being fired against Democratic prosecutors all over the country. You'll see, I'm sure Alec has got bills, already in the big old folder for Pennsylvania and any other state with a Democratic attorney general or Democratic district attorneys.
Right.
So this is a very large canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, no kidding. It's
you
frightening.
you can't walk down the coal mine because the canary's too big.
Well, would it pass muster? I mean, because we have 3 separate branches of government. So, I mean, is this constitutional?
I don't have the faintest bloody idea whether it's constitutional or not, and I don't know what's constitutional and what isn't anymore.
Right.
Given the state of the federal judiciary, so I have a feeling it's probably within the powers of the state legislature, but I'd have to be more familiar with Georgia law to say anything definitively.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's quite frightening because that's what they're doing in Israel right now, and they've done it in Hungary, and that's what authoritarianism slowly creeps in when the judiciary is controlled by the head of the state.
You can't have the executive controlling the judiciary. Going back to James Madison, they realized that was a bad combination.
Right. Absolutely. Now, are you going to start blogging in Florida so that you can be registered down there, so that the Governor DeSantis can follow you?
No, he can bite me. I may just move to Fort Myers so I can go to Red Sox spring training every year and blog about Ron DeSantis and tell him to bite me.
I like it. I like the plan.
With some credibility.
Sure.
It's getting very, very intense. Plus now he wants to create a state in which Sullivan v. New York Times doesn't apply.
Right. Which
of course will be taken to court, and then Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas, who already have said that decision has to be revisited, will get a crack at it somewhere down the line. This is Florida. I've got to believe that sooner or later Florida is going to be victimized by the greatest brain drain in history. Why would anybody teach at a university down there now?
Yeah, no kidding. A friend of mine teaches music down there. He's got tenure, so he's safe. But again, it's also music. He's not teaching things that people are going after at the moment.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Does he like play Marvin Gaye in the classroom, or
No, actually, he's more of a metal dude.
Parliament Funkadelic as a part of the syllabus? That he might be in trouble.
He might be. Who knows? But regarding the Sullivan case, because it is going up to the Supreme Court this term, I find it interesting that DeSantis and others are supporting this, when I know that if Fox News thought about it for a second and a half, they're so liable for everything, because if you don't have to prove malice, and I can see Fox News,
right now they're going to lose a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit because they actually did act with actual malice.
Exactly.
Which is almost impossible to do under the law.
Yeah.
I mean, you pray. You know what you have to do? You have to lie about an election and knowing you're lying about an election.
Exactly.
And then you have to have Tucker Carlson come on last night and in the middle of this lawsuit lie about it again.
I know. That's what.
After we've got emails where he's saying he doesn't believe it.
Right. And so I think that this whole, let's overturn Sullivan makes no sense for the press to even think about supporting something, especially your right wingers, because they're lying more often than not. And knowingly lying, let alone, you can make a mistake, and as long as you correct it, that's, as soon as you realize it, that's fine.
You can make a mistake. You can make a mistake and not correct it. I mean,
true.
If it's so, that's what that's why the standard under Sullivan is so high. You just, you have to demonstrate that you thought it was true at the time.
Right. Exactly.
And if you didn't knowingly spread false information about somebody.
Exactly.
Like Tucker Carlson did last night.
Like the National Enquirer did against somebody I'm related to.
There you go. That's right. I've forgotten about that case.
Yeah, you have to study it.
That was one of the very first cases of actual malice that was proven.
That's right.
With a lot less evidence than what Dominion has against Fox.
I mean, the Enquirer didn't have emails from its editors saying, "We know this is wrong." This was your mom in what, a nightclub or something?
No, she was at the Reeve Gauche in D.C. having dinner with my dad and maybe a couple other people, I don't know. And somebody from the Enquirer called the restaurant and just asked the maitre d' who was there. And so my mom was there, and Henry Kissinger was there, and I don't know who else, but I know Mr. Kissinger was deposed. And basically what they wrote was, my mom was at dinner, got drunk and boisterous, went around and took food off of other people's tables, and then threw wine in Henry
now it's all
Kissinger's
coming
face.
back to me.
Yeah.
This was when? This was 19 what?
74?
The 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, it was while I was in college, because we talked about it.
Yeah.
While I was in J school.
Yeah, and my communications law class in journalism school, we had to study this case.
Well, it was precedent setting.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
And they offered to settle for all those years. It took 8 years almost to get to court. And
I remember the news coverage about it
the really terrible thing about it was, at the same time, Henry Kissinger was sockless drunk and singing old Nazi marching songs.
So
probably
he was the one taking food off the table.
That's very possible.
He's the one stealing food.
They always blame the woman. They
always
blame
do.
the
They
woman.
always do. No, I mean, and they they wanted to settle, and she refused. She's like, "No, I'm taking this to court."
Sure.
Good for her.
And
as somebody in the business, I say good for her.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I think that there's a reason that it's hard to prove a libel case. There should be good reason. We should hold reporters and establishments to the fire, certainly. But by the same token, you shouldn't just be able to sue somebody because you don't like what they said about you.
Exactly.
And that's what we're coming to.
And that's insane.
We're coming to the point of I will sue you because you were mean to me.
Well, and that's the thing. And the thing is like, it's hard to prove this when you're a famous person. Somebody that's private, the bar is lower because they're a private citizen and they should not be disparaged in public for no good reason. So, but I agree that the standard is high for good reason. Absolutely. I mean, as hard as it was for my mom to do this and as much money as they had to spend on lawyers.
Well, and also I'm sure she was afraid of a hit to her reputation.
She was when you watch the testimony, because it's available, I think, online.
Yeah.
She's like, my kids were going to see this. She was the anger, you could just see the rage in her when she was being questioned by her own lawyer.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her. Everybody else.
I'm imagining an angry Carol Burnett.
She was livid, very controlled but livid. Yeah. You could see it in her.
And that
face.
was before like trials were televised.
No, this was televised.
Was it televised?
Yeah, it's on the TV machine.
I did not know that.
Did she use that as her inspiration for Miss Hannigan?
Hannigan was later.
Hannigan was later, so she might have.
She may have drawn on
that anger.
That anger to play Miss Hannigan. Just gonna say.
Just to say that. Well, okay, so Charlie, you also wrote the thing about House Republicans taking field trips, and this is an insane thing that they're doing right now, spending fortunes.
Yeah, they're going out into the country, the committees
Right.
of the House, to do quote unquote field hearings, and telling us that this is getting away from the Beltway and out there listening to real people.
Oh, please.
But they're holding these hearings at the various resorts and
where real people are.
destinations of their hugest donors.
Right.
Like they're going to this guy's like
Barn.
events barn
Yeah.
in Yukon, Oklahoma, to do a Ways and Means Committee hearing.
Right.
So it's basically they're all just junkets, basically,
Right.
to keep in touch with the donor class.
Well, I mean, it's
and they cost a lot of money.
yeah, they're costing us money.
You got to ship the staff and the technological backup and everything with it. And Kathy McMorris Rogers, remember her?
Sure.
Oh, please and thank
she used
you.
to be the young hope of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, yes, I know we know these cost a lot, but we should do more of them." Which I think is a heck of a way to fight the federal debt.
Yeah, isn't it?
I think that's a great way to keep government expenses down.
Well, and also,
make sure Kathy McRogers make sure some Republican chairman is comfortable in the Hampton Inn in Yukon, Oklahoma.
well,
He gets the luxury suite.
Exactly.
it makes me wonder too. Also, how much they paying this guy to rent his barn event space
Exactly.
to do this too?
It's a kickback back to him, and then he kicks back to them. I mean, it's
Well, I'm sure there's some sort of quid. Why can't I say that?
Quid pro
Quid
quo.
pro quo. Regarding an in-kind contribution.
Yeah.
Which is probably illegal, but who knows?
right.
It's really incredible. The Times did a great job tracing all these. And of course, it basically called people liars in that very polite New York Times way of calling people liars.
Right. Exactly.
I was really amused. I was really amused by the the kind of syntactical gymnastics they went through to keep from saying this guy is spreading bull.
Well, maybe they can all move to one of the
Future cities.
one of the future cities where we'll have flying cars.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's my favorite thing. He's gonna take a bunch of people from the city and give them baby bonuses and move them to like Zion National Park.
Yeah. I like the names
which
of
will
the
be renamed Trumpetopia.
Yeah.
Oh God.
No, you did this.
He gets the naming rights.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course he would. Of course he would. Trumpville, Utah, Trumptown, Montana, Trumpboro, Colorado, and Trumpchester, Idaho. I like that. I like those names.
And all the towns will go bankrupt within 2 years.
Of course.
Of course.
And they'll ask for a government
his
bailout.
His grandchildren will be answering motions from 1,000 different contractors.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, Charlie, we're running out of time, Mr.
Yeah.
Man. It was lovely to talk to you.
We had a wonderful Carol Burnett fest there for a while.
We did. We did.
We covered a lot of territory
And
today.
I understand that the birthday party went very well.
It did. It went beautifully well, and we are looking forward to the final edit of it. But it was really lovely.
There were lots of famous people there, I guess.
There were.
Hi, I'm Chef Shanti, and today in the Organic Kitchen, I'm going to be showing you how to make my favorite breakfast burrito.